What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. A couple of days ago, Gervonta Tank Davis announced on his Twitter page that he will be taking on Rolando Rolly Romero. And it had the internet going nuts in my Power Wow voice. People excited, man. You know, it's been much anticipated since his destruction of Mario Barrios up in Atlanta, Georgia, aka Hotlanta, in front of a star-studded crowd, as he was able to stop a much bigger guy than Mario Barrios, a guy that a lot of people thought would be too big for Gervonta Tank Davis. And a lot of people thought Gervonta bit off a little bit more than he could chew. But that was not the case, as skills pay the bills. Floyd Mayweather Jr. said that a while ago, and that proved out to be the case in the Davis versus Barrios fight. Now that fight's gonna go down December 5th in Los Angeles, California. December 5th is an interesting date that they put that fight on. It's gonna be on a Sunday night. Now the last Showtime pay-per-view event involving Jake Paul, YouTube sensation Jake Paul, who's undefeated as a professional. I think he's 4-0 now. He fought former MMA fighter Tyron Woodley. That fight took place on a Sunday in August, last Sunday in August. I believe it was either August 28th, if I'm not mistaken. In August, that Sunday, the last Sunday in August, that fight took place. So they're gonna basically do a back-to-back pay-per-view on a Sunday night. But I believe the reason why they're doing this particular fight on Sunday night is due to college football, as they're gonna be having their conference championship games on Saturday, December 4th. So they will be going head up against a lot of those championship games, especially in the ACC. I think the ACC got a championship game Saturday night. ACC and the Big Ten got championship games Saturday night. So they didn't want to have to be going up against those two huge playoff games. I mean, two huge championship games that have playoff implications, more than likely. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. I got some interesting news on the undercard for that fight, man. I'm hearing that through my sources that Luis King Kong Ortiz out of Cuba, now residing in Florida, will be fighting on that card, and possibly could be the co-main event to Davis Romero. And I'm hearing the front-runner opponent is Oxnard, California own Chris Arreola. That could be the co-main event. As we know, the fight's going to be in Los Angeles, California, so it will make a lot of sense to put a local fighter on that card in a prime time spot, basically, as a co-main event, the fight before the big fight. You know, and that could be a good thing if they can pull that off. Now, Arreola, I think in his last fight, he made around $500,000 in the Andy Ruiz fight. If I'm not mistaken, he ran around $500,000, and with the pay-per-view that it did around 100,000 pay-per-view buys. So I don't know how much he ended up making at the end of the day, but let's just keep it around about 500,000, because they only sold 100,000 pay-per-view buys. So you know Andy Ruiz was gonna get a bigger piece of the pie on the pay-per-view percentage anyway, no matter how much it sold. For what it's selling, only 100,000 pay-per-view buys. The money that Chris Arreola made on the back end probably wasn't that much. He probably made a little bit though, but let's just keep it at 500,000. So he's gonna probably want at least that much to fight Luis King Kong Ortiz. And can Davis and Romero pay-per-view card afford that type of fight on the co-main event? To pay the fighter in a co-main event that type of money on their card. So you gotta understand that Mario Barrios, who was the B-side on the main event card, made $500,000. So I have a hard time believing that a guy that's not even in the main event, that's in basically the co-main event, and is basically, you can say he the A-side against Ortiz, especially up in California. You can say he the A-side. He probably might want more than Ortiz. So they're going to have to crush the numbers and make sure they make those numbers work. And, look at the projections of how many pay-per-view buys it does. And the PBC will have to make that call, and Showtime will have to make that call. Can they afford Chris Arreola, Luis King Kong Ortiz? That remains to be seen. But King Kong is definitely going to be on the undercard. He's looking to have a fight. And then he's looking to fight Andy Ruiz in the first quarter of 2022. Now, Andy Ruiz said recently that he's coming back and he's going to fight in December. And he mentioned Prince Charles Martin, and he mentioned Adam Kanaki if he's able to get by Hellenius. Come on, man. As he's coming by Hellenius, tonight. He's able to get by Hellenius tonight. He mentioned him as a possible opponent. And he also mentioned Luis King Kong Ortiz. I believe the Ortiz fight is not realistic for December. As we know, like I said, King Kong basically said he's coming back in December on the undercard of Davis and Romero. So he's not going to be the fight for Ruiz in December. So we're looking at Prince Charles Martinez as the front runner for that fight from everything I'm hearing. So that fight happens. Luis King Kong Ortiz will, if he gets the victory on the Davis Romero undercard, will be in line to fight the winner of that fight. So that's what we're looking at right now, man. That's what I'm hearing through the grapevine, through my sources, that Luis King Kong Ortiz will be on the undercard of Gervonta Tank Davis versus Rolando Rolly Romero. Now, as far as the matchup between Ortiz and Arreola will have to close the distance. He cannot fight that fight from a distance. He would get picked apart from a distance. With the jab that Ortiz has, which is one of the best jabs in the heavyweight division, he has a good right hand. People talk about Wilder's right hand, which is the best right hand in the history of the sport. And then you got guys like Dillian White, who has a good right hand, and Anthony Joshua has a good right hand. But you put Ortiz in that same group with White and Joshua right up under Wilder as far as one of the top right hands in the heavyweight division. So he would have to definitely close the distance and try to basically back up Ortiz, get him up against the ropes, and then work the body and basically try to roughhouse Ortiz. Work the body and try to fight in the close quarters. Because the more distance that he is between himself and Ortiz, the more problems he's going to have. He's got to close the distance. He cannot fight that fight from a distance. Ortiz has got to just basically set the jab up. If he's able to jab Arreola, make Arreola reset, it's going to be an easy fight for Ortiz. Actually, he can jab, and when he comes in, you just tame him with that right hand. Ortiz is a beautiful puncher, man, out of that Cuban style of boxing, with that Cuban pedigree. Very skilled fighter, very smart fighter, too. And he does a good job, man. And he can box and he can step to you. He can fight aggressive style of fighting. He can fight off the back foot. So he's a multi-dimensional type of fighter. So I think that's what he would do. I think he would start off basically picking him apart from the outside. Now, if Arreola is able to close the distance and land that right hand is a good right hand. We talking about right hand. He has a good right hand too. Arreola, he dropped Andy Ruiz in that fight with the right hand. So if he's able to start catching him with the right hand, then Ortiz maybe might change up tactics and start walking toward Arreola. Start trying to walk him down and start landing his shot. He has a very good right hand in his own self. Got a beautiful uppercut. And he's a guy that's a very good counter puncher too, man. He got the whole tools in the toolbox. Ain't nothing you can say that a fighter has that he don't have. Only thing you can say is he's a little up in age. He used to dance around the ring and stuff and hit you with the jab, move around and jab, kind of like Ali. He did that in fights of the past. Now, he hasn't done that recently, and I don't think he probably would do that now. He's more flat-footed than he was earlier in his career, but the guy's a beautiful boxer to watch, man. So we will see what happens. We will see what transpires. That's the news I'm getting through the grapevine, that Luis King Kong Ortiz will be on the undercard of Gervonta Tank Davis versus Rolando Rolly Romero. Let me know your thoughts about a possible matchup with Chris Arreola. Do you like that matchup, or do you want to see King Kong versus another opponent? Let me know your thoughts and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, and I'll holler.